Good morning.
Good morning. I haven't seen you for a while.
I know. How have you been?
Good. I had knee surgery, so I'm the one that's been out of pocket for about 8 weeks.
Uh, how's the recovery been?
Slow, slow, slow. But you know what? It's beginning to look like a real knee again. At one
Nice.
point, it was a ball on my body, just kind of slapped on there. I'm a real girl now. Both my knees look the same again, so I'm feeling
Hey,
really happy about that. So if only it would more, I'd be real happy.
of course, of course. Although it's all in good time. I think so often we try to rush ourselves and not recognize that our bodies have to take that, they need to rest. They need to take that time and it's difficult. It's difficult.
It
We
is.
human beings aren't so patient.
We want it now.
Well, and especially when we live in a world where everything is now, it's at our fingertips. So why can't healing be at our fingertips?
Mhm.
I think about that so often of like weight loss. Why can't weight loss? We want like the fast, easy solution. And what is it that pops up all the time in social media? The fat, at least whatever people are presenting as the fast, easy solution. There are no fast, easy solutions in life.
No, they're not. Really not. Tell me a little bit about your travels. I think I saw you out there in the world several months ago. India.
India was last summer.
Okay.
Phenomenal. It was terrific. Very different. Um, a lot of things to unpack with there. On the one hand, um, you know, Delhi being a modern city, and yet lots of places around didn't feel so modern.
Yeah.
Um, and definitely there was a lot of poverty. Um, but at the same time, so beautiful. It was
Mm.
so beautiful. And we were there when they were celebrating their 75th anniversary of independence, which, so interesting to think about. That's when the British left, and both
Oh,
India and Pakistan were created, which have had um, their own border issues and so on.
mm.
And yeah, so jumping from that and thinking about that, in the fall, I actually I went to Israel two times. Once in November, which was to visit our daughter who was studying abroad, and then studying there on a program, and then piggyback that trip with our for a Jewish Federation committee, in which I was visiting some of the places where we give some funding and support, specifically to our St. Louis sister city region, which is Yokneam and Megiddo. And then late December, January, I went again on a different trip with rabbinical students, and that was a phenomenal trip to do some learning. And just thinking about that vis-a-vis India, in late mid to late April, Israel will celebrate their 75th anniversary of independence, where again the British left, and the UN had voted to create a partition plan of that area so that two states would be created. At the time, only one state was created. Um, so yeah, a lot there.
Good for you. That's wonderful. Well, I enjoy watching you get it done because I kept my sitting straight up in the air, but there she goes again. That's
Uh,
awesome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But
Cool.
yeah, just a lot for us to think about, and I'm excited that we have gotten back together and really said that to each other, that what we did with Real Talk when we started it in 2020 during the pandemic, as a way just for us to continue conversing, but also to try to bring people to the table to think about diversity and talk about diversity, and recognizing that we are two different women yet, we have found commonalities with our similarities, but, come together and have these conversations. And we've decided to continue Real Talk for 2023 and see where we can take it.
I love that idea. I mean, there's so many things happening, and of course, we are approaching a re-election time, and there's just many topics out there that Real Talk could add to the flavor of conversating about these different topics, and especially since they touch our world now that we're so diverse with a lot of
Absolutely.
the immigration changes that are taking place in our country. Lots of people with various backgrounds are really going to be in office and making decisions. And so it's going to be really critical that we have conversations about who are they and what do they think and how do they think. And does that represent America? Because America's changing her face. I mean, totally. Her
Right.
makeup,
Right.
totally.
Right.
Makeup. She's changed totally. So I know with your international travel, it gave me that excitement again about, my diversity circle. Everywhere you go, you're adding to your diversity circle of friendships and interactions and learning curves. It's just amazing that we have to keep going. So it's so good to see you again. I'm glad we're back at it. Yeah.
Likewise. Likewise. So we probably, as we open up today, should probably at least introduce ourselves.
Okay.
We'll start with you, Pastor Sheila.
Oh, that was you. I'm Reverend Dr. Sheila Bouie Sledge, and I'm living in St. Louis, Missouri, mainly in an area called North County. And I am a pastor of a church, North Park United Methodist Church. I often teach and work with young people, and I have a good time with my diversity circle, which came out of a demanding project that I needed to complete when I got my doctorate of ministry from United Seminary. So that's a little bit about me. And Rabbi and I met and decided through a friendship and a connection. I think it was Governor Bob Holden that gave me your name. I'm not sure how I actually got introduced to you. We were talking one day, and I go, I need to get more and more in touch with other pastors in other communities, and your name came up. So
I don't know that it was the governor, because I don't know. I don't know Bob Holden, but that's okay. So I'm Rabbi Brigitte Rosenberg, and I live in West County, St. Louis, in Chesterfield. We can certainly at some point attempt to explain St. Louis, which is an interesting place. And I am the senior rabbi at United Hebrew Congregation, and am active in various parts of the Jewish community in St. Louis and in some various parts of the community in general, just having 3 kids in and around the community makes for lots of different places where people, and was blessed to be introduced to Pastor Sheila. I think you just called me out of the blue, and we started talking, and from the beginning, just, have met so many wonderful people and had some really incredible experiences. And, just the times when I have been in your church. And, I will even say, um, Pastor Sheila lost her sister in the fall. And when I went to your sister's church for the funeral, and I didn't know anybody when I walked in. I saw you, but then after a little while, a few people came up to me, and they were your people
Uh-huh.
who walked straight at Rabbi. It's great to see you. We haven't seen you in a while. It's so wonderful that you're here, and what a blessing! What a blessing!
Yes, that's a real good dovetail opportunity for me to say, and I think you can chime in anytime, that the reason we have Real Talk and the reason that we have My Diversity Circle is because we believe in dialogue and how critical it is. even though people have a lot of dialogue going on, there's chatter going on that is not positive and is not sensitive to each other, and it's not going to thrust us forward as a country in a positive way. And we believe that My Diversity Circle, Many Faces of Fashion, all the activities that we engage in, we pull people in for that very reason, to tone down what is negative and unhealthy. And we work very hard, just the two of us sometimes, just by talking and discussing issues, saying, we have to do better, folks. We must do better. If we're going to live in this world together, we have to do better. And I know you feel that way too. And that's kind of the real thrust of who we are and what we're about.
Absolutely. And I think it's about moving from the chatter to real dialogue, about saying, so often we're probably chattering because we're thinking about it. And you're right. A lot of times the chatter is negative, or it's one-sided, maybe not negative, but it's one-sided.
Exactly.
And, part of real talk and part of the work that we've done in my diversity circle is the ability to stop and engage in real conversation. It has been for us attempting to lay out safe space so that we can move from chatter to real conversation, so that if I'm thinking of something, I could come to you or come to anybody in my diversity circle and say, I have some questions. Can we sit down and really talk about these? And vice versa, hearing about things and trying to have those conversations and really bridge communities. And the bridging of communities is it's not just black and white. It's, we've come to bridge religious communities, and bridging neighborhoods and so on. And there's lots of different things that it opens us up. It opens us up to more people.
I love the way that word bridging hit me. I thought, yeah, keep going. I love it. I think about, unfortunately, people who had to absolutely leave everything to come to America or to move anywhere where they believe they're safer, and to have families divided, and sometimes, unfortunately, the loss of family members in that process. And when we know that those things are taking place even on an international platform as well as national, there is more diversity opportunity that can really work positive if we really look at it in dialogue. So there's new people with new ideas, new thinking, new conversation, new vocabulary, just new everything, that we have to continuously say, I'm bridging, I'm working toward opening a pathway between the two of us, so that you understand more about who I am, and I definitely know more about who you are. So perhaps as we build that bridge, we can go upward. It doesn't always have to be horizontal. We can do some vertical building. And I just love that when you said bridge. I'm like, I got to go on that one.
I'll say, though, I don't like tall bridges. Give me low bridges that span anything. I don't like heights, but that's okay. No, absolutely. And I think as we build those bridges, it changes our perception, because so often one's perception is their reality, even if perception isn't reality, one's perception is often their own reality. And so building bridges is about helping to change perception and change reality of how things are.
And by moving a little bit across the bridge or in the middle of the bridge or just at the end of the bridge, your angle, your vision has to change, because you see different things at different points as you travel. And so that's critical, that so many of us are in our heads. I remember when, and we stop right there. It's like, okay, that's a good place to be when you're starting out. But, if you're going to walk a path of love and connections with people, you've got to do some highs and some low travel. And so I just love this conversation. I get excited thinking we're back at this again. And I know our listeners are going to love it too, because there's so much that people want to connect to that's not negative, and
Right.
there's there's so much of that going on. We need to balance that. And I respect everyone's opinion, whether I think it's negative or positive. The bottom line is the more voices you hear and the more perspectives we take in, the more we balance each other out as opposed to stamping each other out. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
And it allows us to broaden our own just viewpoints, or recognizing that having conversation isn't about changing someone's mind, but about broadening it, and
I
just
love
recognizing that there are other voices out there, and we're not as much as sometimes we like to think we're the only people. We're not the only people in the world, and that our world is made up of lots of different individuals, and we have to be able to listen to each other so that we can live together, work together, and hopefully make our world better together, because the world is better with multiple voices and different voices, but who are, um what am I trying to say, who are, back and forth talking to each other. And even when there's disagreement, sometimes in that disagreement better options and opportunities are found, because we play against each other, and it makes us think more.
Yes. Yeah. I like that, because when you think more, you'll have more conversation. And the greatest fear most people have is that they won't look smart. So I always like to make sure there's a link to saying more and saying something that's going to make me go, aha, now let's talk about that. So you have just as much to offer me as I have to offer you. And when we start working down that path, I think we'll find people are open a little bit more and not so afraid to be wrong, because nobody has to be wrong in a conversation. I think you really said that already. It's like we all have something to say and to contribute. So I love real talk. I just
Oh,
love it.
absolutely. What you were just saying had me thinking, in Judaism, one of the things that we teach is that when you are studying Torah, when you're studying anything, you're actually not supposed to study alone. You're supposed to study in chavruta, which is in partnership. And the
Uh,
reason that you're supposed to study in partnership is so that you challenge one another, that you recognize that, I may read something or see something in my own way through my experiences, and you see it through your experiences, and we challenge each other to see it through each other's experience, which then says that both of us are right. And that can sometimes be a difficult place to be in. But in Judaism, we talk about how can we hold on to multiple truths at the same time, and that's often what has to happen in the world, that we are holding on to these sometimes two maybe conflicting things, but both of them, because of ourselves and how we're studying, both of them are the word of God. And so, we can hold on to both of them as holy, and the idea that we build each other up, or we build up our learning in doing that.
I love that phrase, multiple truths. We have to do more conversating around that. I love that. It's like, you're right and I'm right. So let's keep talking about it. Somewhere
Right.
along we may redefine this whole thing and we both can enjoy a new definition. If not, we're still right with how we feel about this topic. So it's really possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, especially when we talk about interfaith dialogue, so many people get worried about it, because there's this worry that, well, wait a minute, are you going to try to convert me, or get me to, tell me that what I believe is wrong? Even if
Yeah.
you may think that the way you believe and feel is the right way. You know, the beauty of interfaith dialogue is when you come to the table and you're able to say, this isn't about conversion, this isn't about proselytizing, it's about getting to know each other and understand each other. And it's one of those times where you have to say, I'm going to sit in my truth, you're going to sit in your truth. And we're not here to undo those truths. We're just here to listen to each other's truths and try to understand them.
Conversion is such a big word in people's vocabulary because when you're young, many times, or when you're growing up and learning, you're taught that this is what we believe. You know, we use garlic in our tomato sauce, but we don't use garlic in our tomato sauce. Just as simple as a recipe can be so traumatic with family lines and culture. What I really started thinking about when you were speaking is how when we finish talking, sometimes we find out we're both saying the same thing, but just using different words. So you said, you know, you're Judaism, and here I am Protestant, and sometimes it's the same constellation. We just call the stars by different names. But when we find out we're in the same place, it doesn't hurt, but we can't find out if we don't dialogue. And fear each other. What's the purpose in talking? Oh, you're gonna try to change my mind, huh? No.
Right. Not at all.
Oh yeah. I can learn how big this world is if I listen to you. You will teach me something that I can say, I knew that, but I called that something else. But it's the same thing.
Right.
All the there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my friend, so we'll be on how often this week or the weeks that we plan?
So I think our plan is to, if nothing gets in our way, do this weekly,
Okay.
to have our conversations and, celebrate discussion and celebrate diversity and celebrate real talk. And,
Right.
well, I know what we've decided to do is we'll be putting our videos up on YouTube, and we're working to figure out our audio and how we might just get our audio out there as well.
Well, and then we will also remind people that we have a website, mydiversitycircle.com, and then we will publicize that as often as we can, get the opportunity to get you out there to see who we are.
Right.
And to hear the audios as well. Awesome. Perfect.
Absolutely. Well, it's been wonderful. We've restarted.
Hey.
And in the coming weeks, you will hear at our intro and our outro some beautiful instrumental jazz music. So we're looking forward to that as we celebrate a local musician. And absolutely, have a wonderful day.
Yes, you too. Love you, Rabbi.
Love you too.